Things just got serious, everybody. Congress just passed a bill that could make the Bible illegal. Here's what's happening. All right, folks, let's get into this one. The video that you are looking at right now is a video of something that is absolutely unprecedented happening in the United States. Now, first, I want to just simply say this. I hate and condemn anti-Semitism at every level. I don't believe it belongs anywhere. I think that our country is damning itself in not supporting Israel. Hamas is evil. So much of what's coming out of the Palestinian Authority is evil. Matter of fact, probably all of it is. And quite frankly, the lies that continue to be told about the occupation of Palestine are things that just completely disgust me. I am fully supportive of Israel. I will always support Israel. And I really don't care what anybody thinks. But I do want to say this. The bill that just passed a few days ago is something that ought to raise our eyebrows and probably cause us to think twice about the things that are happening. And I'm going to explain why. But first, what I would like to do is read this article to you. This is out of Newsweek, and it says this. It says, Republicans voting for bill that could make Bible illegal outrages MAGA. Now, it's just talking about there are certain people within the Make America Great Again sort of camp of folks that are very upset by this bill. But let me explain why they're calling it the way they're calling it. And of course, the characterization of MAGA as though MAGA people are bad people is ridiculous. But that's mainstream media nonsense. You don't have to listen to that. But let me read the article nonetheless, because it is very important. It says this. It says, MAGA conservatives voiced outrage at congressional Republicans voting for the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act over concerns it would make the Bible illegal, which, by the way, it very much can make the Bible illegal. Listen to this article. Congress on Wednesday passed a bill which would require the Department of Education to use the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, that's IHRA, working definition of anti-Semitism when enforcing anti-discrimination laws. It comes as colleagues across the United States have seen pro-Palestinian protests that critics say at times have allegedly veered into anti-Semitism. Listen, they didn't veer into anti-Semitism. These protests started with anti-Semitism. They were birthed with anti-Semitism. But that's beside the point. Let's go to the next paragraph. It says, anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. That's what the definition reads. Okay, let's skip down to this paragraph. It says some conservatives are taking issue with the bill over the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, including claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel. That's part of their definition, right? So if you basically make the claim that Jews killed Jesus, like the Bible claims, right? It would be sort of arguing in essence that you are anti-Semitic. That's actually what it says. And these people are arguing, let me just read the rest of this paragraph. It says, arguing that it could mean that parts of the Bible would now become illegal. Now, this is really interesting because we have to understand something, right? We all killed Jesus, if you think about it, right? It was our sin that put Christ on the cross. And I want to make myself very, very clear here. If somebody gets mad at Jews because Jesus himself was killed, Jesus was a Jew as well. So that would be like being mad at all black people if a black person was killed by another black person, or being mad at everybody who kills babies when they have abortions because they killed their own race or they killed their own kind. It's kind of a ridiculous kind of an assertion to be made. And I also want to simply say this, right? Murder is murder, and we should condemn these issues on the merits. Like, for example, we do not get mad at a whole race of people for killing babies in their womb. We get upset over the fact that babies are actually being lost in the womb through murder. It's a really simple assertion, and it's not difficult to make if you stand by truth. But the reality of it is so many people right now are wanting to jump on every kind of bandwagon that you can think of in order to create whatever definitions they want to create in order to bring in their whole idea of what should happen or shouldn't happen. People that say that Jews should be hated because Christ was crucified have lost their minds. Let me just make that very, very clear. They're not even thinking reasonably, but it is another tool that Satan deploys in order to bring hatred towards the Jews. Quite frankly, let me simply say this before I continue to comment on this bill. I'm grateful to the Lord for his ancestrally chosen people, the Jews. I'm grateful to Jews because I have their land well preserved that I can go see and I can experience. I am grateful to the Jews for the many innovations that have come our way that we get to be the beneficiaries of, whether it be the fruits that we eat on a daily basis, whether it be the technology that we enjoy, whether it be the cell phones that we use, whether it be the type of medical type of benefits that we have through the type of technology that's being utilized in the medical world. There are so many things that Jews have contributed to us. My favorite contribution, of course, is that my Messiah was a Jew. My other favorite contribution, of course, by the Jews centers around their preservation of the Bible and how much I love the Bible. So when we talk about the idea that it's okay somehow to put down Jews is absolutely insane. And quite frankly, I think people ought to be ousted when they do things like that. But the reality of it is people have free speech. Let me read the rest of what this is saying because this is really important, this article. It says the bill's text states that it would require the education department to, quote, take into consideration the definition of anti-Semitism as part of the department's assessment of whether the practice was motivated by anti-Semitic intent when investigating allegedly anti-Semitic discrimination at colleges. So here's the problem, okay? I've already condemned in the strongest possible way anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is satanic, okay? It's evil. Coming against God's ancestrally chosen people because they are who they are is so unbelievably demonic, it's not even funny. But passing a law like this in response to what's going on in the college campuses is you being molded by the hands of George Soros. It's you giving guys like George Soros what they want so that they could put into effect the kind of nonsense that they want to put into in this country. Let me explain what I mean when I say this. First of all, we know that what's going on these campuses were created by guys like George Soros. As a matter of fact, there's an article in the New York Post, I already read this to you in a video a few days ago, folks, that says George Soros is paying student radicals who are fueling nationwide explosion of or Israel-hating protests, okay? This article is a very eye-opening article, and it's showing where all the hatred is happening. And these are organizations that George Soros has started and funded that he's paying for to bring in all of this anti-Jew hatred nonsense that they're doing across the campuses. Now, I believe that the motivation for Soros wanting to do this not only centers around the idea of destabilizing all kinds of parts of the country because he makes a lot more money and he begins to develop a stronger sense of power when he's able to do this. Like he has said in his own interviews, he finds gratification in seeing and helping Jews actually suffer. He said that when he helped the Nazis actually kill all kinds of Jews, he was very proud of it. It made him feel godlike. He actually made a statement like that, folks. But here's the thing that's even crazier and even more psychotic when you think about it, right? I believe that the reason why he's doing this is to motivate some of the lawmakers to write bills just like this that will stifle free speech. Because think about it. If they can do this in the name of preventing anti-Semitism, and all of a sudden now the Bible becomes a banned book, it becomes a book that's completely illegal that you can't even read anymore, well, then his power over the people in this nation is completely solidified. Because think about it, folks, the people right now that are keeping things in check, at least to the degree that they are being kept in check, are Christians, are people that are bringing the word of God to the table and using the word of God as a plumb line. And what we're seeing right here is a very, very effective and powerful tool that's being used to get rid of things like the Bible so that people will not have the plumb line necessary in order to keep societies strong and healthy. Right? When you remove all of the things that produce the wise constraints necessary in order to keep a society healthy and whole, well, then it all implodes. It all goes to naught. Keep this detail in mind, folks, okay? I want to remind you of something that you already know. When the sickness was going insane and things were in full force, and you know what I'm talking about when I say sickness, right? Who were the first people that they targeted? Think about this for a second. Who were the first people that they targeted? The first people that they targeted were the churches. They shut down a bunch of churches. And think about this for a second. When all the churches shut down, then the nonsense started having a dramatic effect on our country, the George Floyd stuff, all the other things that were going on, and all of it was used to destabilize government. All of it was used to create division amongst people. All of it was used to create a condition by which these people could do the wickedness that they wanted to do. And make no mistake about this, when godly people are not present, when godly people are not gathered together and encouraging one another to stand up for righteousness and to do the right things, then evil prevails. I mean, think about it like this. 1 Thessalonians actually tells us this. 2 Thessalonians tells us this. It says it in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, that the Antichrist himself can't be revealed to us until what? Until Christians have been raptured. We know that. Why? What's the reason that he gives us in 2 Thessalonians? Because we are the restraining force. We're the restrainers, right? Christians preserve full decay from coming into effect. And this is the thing that we have to understand. So all of what you're looking at here is, in my opinion, part of the grand conspiracy that Satan is deploying to shut the mouths of Christians, to stifle the voices of righteousness. But I got news for you. When Christians are put in a position where they are persecuted, we know this from history, they grow. And the reality of it is we need to speak up, and we need to speak up boldly before our ability to be able to speak up is taken away. Why? Because God calls us to stand for righteousness. It's that simple. Keep your eyes open. Look to Jesus, right? Follow what his word says. And folks, stand up for righteousness. Fighting the good fight is important. So let's do that. God bless you.